The wind was cold in Zone 12. The buildings were old and broken. Dust flew through the empty streets. Mira pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders. Her feet were sore, and her stomach ached. But the pain in her heart was stronger than the pain in her body. She looked back once. Her small shelter stood far behind. Inside, her 2 children waited. Tima was 6. Leo was 4. They had not eaten since yesterday morning. Mira had given them her last dry bread. She had eaten nothing for 2 days. Her hands shook. Her lips were dry. But she walked forward. There was only one place left to try. People whispered about him. A man who lived alone in a tall tower on the edge of the zone. He had power. He had food. No one knew why he stayed or what he did. Some said he was dangerous. Others said he was kind, but strange. Mira did not know what to believe. She only knew her children were hungry. She reached the tall gate. It was made of old metal, stronger than anything she had seen before. Wires ran along the walls. A glowing eye above the door turned and looked at her. Mira took a deep breath and raised her hand. She knocked. Nothing happened for a few seconds. Then the gate opened with a slow sound. A voice came from a speaker. "State your reason." Mira stood straight. Her voice was quiet but steady. "I need food. I will work. I can clean or fix things. Please, my children have not eaten." There was silence. She thought maybe the man would turn her away. Maybe he would call the guards. But then the gate opened fully. Enter. Mira stepped inside. The inside was different. Warm lights glowed from the walls. Machines buzzed softly. The air smelled clean. She saw cameras watching her. Doors closed behind her. She stood still. A tall man stepped out from another room. He wore a long coat. His face was calm but strong. His eyes looked sharp, like they saw everything. "My name is Roland," he said. "I do not usually let strangers in. Why should I trust you?" Mira did not beg. She only looked at him and spoke. "I have nothing but my hands. I will work. Just give me some food for my children. That's all I ask." Roland looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked down a hallway. "Follow me." She walked after him. The hallway was filled with machines. Some looked broken, some were shining. He led her into a kitchen. There was a table, a stove, and a machine she had never seen before. He pressed a button, and a warm meal appeared. Mira stared at the plate. It was real food. Rice, beans, a soft flat bread. Steam rose from the plate. Her mouth filled with water, but she did not touch it. "Eat," he said. She took a bite. Her hands shook. The food felt like fire in her empty stomach. She ate slowly, trying not to cry. When she finished, Roland gave her a bag of food packs. "For your children," he said. Mira held the bag to her chest. Her eyes were wet. "Thank you. I will work. I promise." "You can help tomorrow," Roland said. "You may sleep here tonight. You look weak." "I can sleep on the floor," Mira said quickly. "There is a small room by the hall. Use it. No one will bother you." Mira nodded. She walked slowly to the room he pointed at. Inside, she found a clean mat, a blanket, and even water to wash. She sat down. The food in her belly made her feel heavy, warm, but her thoughts were full of questions. Who was this man? Why did he help her? What was he hiding in this place? She would not ask now. She would return to her children in the morning and bring them this food. Then she would come back. She had to earn this kindness that night. For the first time in many weeks, Mira slept without fear. Morning light slipped through the small window in the room. Mira opened her eyes slowly. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the smooth walls and the folded blanket beside her. She remembered the food, the warmth, and the quiet. Voice of the man named Roland, she stood up and washed her face. Her body felt a little stronger. She picked up the food bag he gave her and walked down the hall quietly. She did not want to wake him or disturb anything. But the tower was already awake. Machines hummed softly. Lights blinked on control panels. It felt alive. Roland stood in the main room, working with metal parts on a table. He looked up when she stepped in. "You rested well?" Mira nodded. "Thank you for the food. I need to take this to my children. Then I will come back to work." He looked at her for a moment, then gave a small nod. "Go. Be careful on the streets. The patrols check this zone often. Come back before dark." Mira left quickly. She crossed the broken paths and rusty gates until she reached her small shelter. Tima and Leo ran to her as soon as they saw her. "Mother, you came back," Leo said. "Did you find food?" Tima asked, with wide eyes. She hugged them both tightly. "Yes, I did. Come sit." She opened the bag and gave them warm food packs. The smell alone brought smiles to their faces. They ate with joy, laughing and talking at the same time. Mira watched them. For the first time in many days, she felt a small light grow inside her. Hope. She spent a little time with them. She told them not to open the door while she was gone. Then she walked back to the tower. This time, Roland was waiting for her at the gate. He opened it without speaking and led her to a room filled with tools, wires, and broken machines. "I need these parts cleaned and sorted," he said. Mira looked around. There were many things she did not know the names of, but her hands were used to hard work. She rolled up her sleeves and started carefully. Roland watched her for a while, then went back to his own work hours passed quietly. Mira worked with focus. She did not waste time. She cleaned each piece, grouped them by shape and size, and placed them in small boxes. She noticed some pieces were from old Earth machines. Others were strange and glowing, like alien tech. She said nothing. At midday, Roland placed a bowl of soup and a slice of bread on a small table near her. Mira thanked him and ate quickly. Then she returned to work. She did not want him to think she was lazy. As the light outside grew dim, Roland spoke again. "You did well today. You can return tomorrow if you like. I will provide food for your children again." Mira was surprised. "You don't need to feed us every time I help." "I know," he said. "But I choose to." She nodded. She could not understand this man yet. He was kind, but quiet. He did not smile. He did not ask questions. He watched everything, always thinking. But he did not treat her badly. That was enough for now. As she got ready to leave, she paused by one of the doors. It was closed, but she felt something behind it. A soft hum, like hidden power. She looked at it for a moment too long. "That room is not for you," Roland said from behind her. Mira turned quickly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to touch anything." He did not look angry. "You are curious. That is normal. But some things inside this tower are not safe. I keep them locked for a reason." She nodded and stepped away. Roland handed her another small food bag. "For your children." Mira took it gently. "Thank you again." He looked at her for a moment. "You are different from most who come begging. You work with purpose. You speak with care." "I have to," Mira said. "I have children. I cannot fail them." Roland gave a short nod, then turned back to his machines. Mira walked back through the dark streets, holding the food bag close. She felt safer now. She had a place to work, a way to feed her children. But she also felt something else. A question growing in her mind: who was Roland really? Why did he stay alone in that tower? And what was behind that locked door? She didn't know the answers yet, but she was sure of one thing. This was just the beginning. Mira came back to the tower the next day. The sky was gray. Cold wind moved through the empty streets. She walked fast, her hands inside her shawl, the food bag pressed close to her side. Her children were safe at home, full and smiling. That was enough to keep her strong. Roland opened the gate without a word. He never asked for thanks. He never asked why she kept coming. He just turned and walked back into the tower. Mira followed. Inside, the machines were already alive. Lights blinked on the walls. Thin screens showed strange symbols. A low hum filled the air, as if the building itself was breathing. "Same task today," Roland said, pointing to the workbench. Mira nodded. She moved to the boxes of metal and wires. She began cleaning and sorting again. The job was not hard, just long. But she liked the quiet. She liked the order. Her mind stayed calm when her hands were busy. Hours passed. Roland worked on something in the corner. He used tools she had never seen before. His hands moved fast, steady, careful. Mira stole glances at him sometimes. He always looked focused, like he was building something important during a short break. Roland left the room. Mira stood and stretched her back. Her legs ached from sitting on the hard stool. She walked slowly around the room, looking at the machines more closely. Then her eyes went to the locked door again. It was metal, dark gray and smooth. No handle, no keypad. Only a round glass eye at the center. It blinked with soft green light. Mira felt drawn to it. She stepped closer. She didn't touch it, only looked. Suddenly, the eye blinked red. A sharp sound came from above. Mira stepped back quickly. "You should not be near that door," Roland's voice said from behind. She turned. Fess. He was standing at the entrance, arms crossed. His face was still calm, but his voice was firmer than before. "I'm sorry," she said. "I was just curious. What's inside?" Roland did not answer at first. He walked past her and placed a hand near the door. The red light turned green again and the sound stopped. He looked at her. "You really want to know?" Mira didn't move. "Yes." Roland was quiet. Then he looked around the room and walked to the main console. He pressed a few buttons. One of the screens lit up. A picture appeared. It showed a tall human ship flying over a strange land. Aliens with sharp armor chased it. "This tower was once a human defense post," he said. "Built before the invasion. We had weapons, food makers, energy shields. But when the aliens came, we lost. They broke our lines, took over the cities. This outpost was hidden, forgotten. I stayed behind. I kept it running." "Quiet." Mira stared at the screen. "Why didn't you leave?" "I had a team," he said. "Friends. We planned to fight back, but they were caught. Or killed. I stayed. To protect the tech. If the aliens found it, they would destroy it. Or use it against us." He paused. "The room behind that door has one of the last working food replicators. And a few other things. Machines that can change everything. That's why it stays locked." Mira stood still. Her heart beat faster. "If it can make food? Why don't you use it for more people?" Roland looked at her. "Because the more people who know, the greater the risk. The aliens monitor the zone. They search for old tech. If they even suspect what is here, they will come. They will burn this place down." Mira lowered her eyes. She understood, but her thoughts went to the others. The families in the slums. The children with empty bellies. The mothers with no hope. "You're afraid they'll take it," she said. "Yes," Roland answered. "But you're also afraid of what will happen if you do nothing," she added. He looked at her for a long time. Then he turned off the screen eye. "I'm not heartless, but I am careful. Every time someone walks through that gate, I have to decide if they are a risk. You are different. You have not tried to steal. You ask, but you do not lie. That is rare." Mira felt her throat tighten. "I only want to keep my children alive, and that is why I may trust you," Roland said. He stepped back from the console. "You can continue working here. You can bring food home. But what you saw today, do not speak of it to anyone. Not yet. Not until I say it is time." Mira nodded slowly. "I understand." He turned and walked away. The machines returned to their quiet work. Mira went back to her stool and picked up a wire brush. Her hands moved, but her thoughts raced. She had seen something powerful, something dangerous, something full of hope. The truth was behind the wall. Now she carried it with her. Mira returned to the tower every day. Each morning she fed her children, wrapped herself in her shawl, and crossed the cold streets. The tower gate opened without delay now. Roland no longer questioned her. He trusted her enough to let her inside. Without words, she cleaned wires, sorted parts, and helped fix broken machines. But she also began to learn. Roland started teaching her small things, how to connect damaged circuits, how to read the colored signals, how to use basic tools. Her hands became faster, her mind sharper. She liked the silence of the tower. No shouting, no fear, no hunger. Just the soft hum of power and the steady voice of a man who knew too much and spoke too little. But outside the tower, things were changing. One evening, as Mira walked home, she saw something strange. 2 alien guards were standing at the far end of the street. They wore heavy armor and strange black helmets. Their long weapons glowed with blue light. They were scanning the area with hand devices, speaking in their own sharp language. Mira froze for a second. Then she turned down a side path and disappeared into the shadows at home. She gave food to Tima and Leo, but her mind was still with the guards. Why were they here? Why now? They rarely came this deep into Zone 12. She spoke to her neighbor, a quiet old woman who had lived in the slums for many years. "They say the aliens are searching again," the woman whispered. "Someone must have touched forbidden tech. The patrols are checking all corners." Mira felt a chill in her chest. Her thoughts ran to Roland, to the food machine behind the locked door, to the parts they worked with each day. She said nothing. To her children, but her eyes stayed on the windows all night. The next day, Mira told Roland about the guards. They were 2 streets away, scanning. "Watching everything," she said. Roland did not look surprised. "They're looking for signals, traces of old machines. My tower gives off low energy. I hide most of it. But if they come close, they may notice something different." "Should we stop working?" Mira asked. "No, but we need to be careful. Very careful." That day, Mira watched Roland press new buttons on the wall panels. Extra metal plates slid down over the windows. The hum of the tower dropped to almost silence. Later, when they sat eating a simple meal, Roland spoke again. "You asked why I don't use the food replicator for more people. This is why. The risk grows with every person who knows. You see it now. The hunger is not only in the people. It is in the eyes of those who rule us. They want control. They fear what humans might rebuild," Mira understood. But her heart still hurt. She remembered the faces of children in the streets. Pale, weak, thin hands reaching for crumbs. "There must be a way to help them," she said. Roland looked at her for a long moment. "There may be, but it must be done quietly, slowly. If we move too fast, we lose everything." That night, Mira went home with a heavy bag of food and a heavier mind. She sat beside her children and told them stories. Not old stories from Earth, but new ones. Stories of brave people who found secret places and used them to grow food, to light up dark homes, to heal the sick. Tima clapped. Leo smiled in his sleep, but Mira's eyes stayed awake, staring at the broken roof above her head. The hunger outside was deep, not just for food, but for safety, for warmth, for something better. The next week, things became worse. The alien patrols grew larger. Some people were taken from their homes without reason. Others disappeared after speaking too loud. A young man was caught hiding a broken radio. The guards dragged him away. No one saw him again. People whispered in fear. They stopped gathering. In groups. They walked quickly. They kept their heads down. Mira felt the weight of silence growing around the zone inside the tower. Roland worked longer hours. He fixed new devices. Some looked like signal blockers. Others were small power cells. He gave Mira one and told her to hide it in her home. It could keep a small heater running if the towers lost power. "You're helping me too much," she said. "You're helping me too," he replied. Their words were short, but their trust was deep now. Mira no longer felt like a guest. She felt like a part of the tower itself. One evening, as Mira prepared to leave, Roland gave her a small paper. "This is a safe path," he said. "If the patrols grow stronger, use this route. It leads through the back tunnels. Few know of it." Mira took the paper and nodded. Her fingers gripped it tightly. "Thank you," she said. He looked at her with a quiet gaze. "Be careful. The unseen hunger is not always from the stomach. Sometimes it hides in fear, in control, in silence. That kind of hunger spreads faster than any other." Mira walked home slowly that night. Her children ran to greet her as always, but her eyes stayed on the shadows. She knew now that the tower was more than a building. It was a seed of hope. But seeds needed time, care, and protection, and sometimes they needed to be hidden until the storm passed. The nights in Zone 12 had grown colder. Mira wrapped her children in old blankets and held them close. Food still came from Roland's tower, but the fear was heavier than ever. The alien patrols searched deeper and more often. People whispered about raids and disappearances. Mira's heart ached for all the families who suffered, not just her own. One evening, as Mira returned to the tower, she saw lights moving far away in the dark. The patrols were near again. She took a deep breath and hurried to the gate. Roland opened it without surprise. "Tonight is not safe," he said. "Come inside." Inside, the warmth of the machines and soft glow of lights greeted her. Roland's workshop looked busier than ever. Screens showed maps, lines, and blinking dots. He was working on something new, a device covered with wires and blinking lights. "What is this?" Mira asked, curious. Roland looked up, his eyes tired but sharp. "This is a food replicator. It can make fresh food for many people, but it needs power and protection. If the aliens find out, they will destroy it." Mira thought about the hungry faces in the slums, the children with empty bellies. She felt a spark of hope deep inside her chest. "Can it feed more people?" "Yes," Roland said, "if we use it carefully." He moved to a control panel and pressed a button. The machine hummed to life. A small tray opened, and inside was a warm meal. Mira smelled the fresh food and smiled for the first time in days. But then she looked at Roland's serious face. "We cannot use it openly," he said. "We need a plan. If the aliens find this place, they will destroy it. We must protect it, and those who use it." Mira nodded slowly. Her mind was already working. There was danger, yes, but also a chance. A chance to help many, not just her children. That night, Mira returned home with more food than usual. She shared it with neighbors who had little to eat. Whispers of hope began to spread. Mothers smiled. Children laughed softly, but the patrols were not far behind. One night, a patrol caught a young man trying to bring food from the tower. They took him away. His family cried in the streets. Fear grew quickly again. Mira met Roland the next day. She told him what happened. He nodded, his face dark. "We need to be smarter," he said. "We must hide the food. Spread it carefully. Protect the people." Together, they made a plan. Mira would carry small packages at night, using hidden paths and secret doors. Roland would keep the tower safe, working on devices to block alien signals. Days turned to weeks. Mira's trips became quicker and quieter. She learned to move like the shadows. Her children stayed safe in hidden rooms. The small food packets brought smiles to tired faces. One evening, Mira found a group of children playing quietly near an abandoned building. Their clothes were ragged, their faces were thin, but their eyes shone with light. She gave them food packs and told stories of brave people who fought for hope. The children listened and dreamed of a better future. Back at the tower, Roland worked late. He showed Mira new tools and machines. She learned more about power, energy, and defense. Her hands moved faster. Her heart grew stronger. Then one night, a loud noise shook the tower. The alarm rang. Red lights flashed. "The patrols are here," Roland said quickly. "We must protect the food replicator." Mira helped move the machine into a hidden room behind a wall. They sealed the door. The alarm blared louder outside. Sounds of heavy boots and voices grew closer, but inside, Mira and Roland stayed calm. They prepared to defend the tower and the hope inside it. The patrol broke the outer gates, but the inner doors held strong. Roland used his machines to block their signals. Mira stood ready, watching the hallway hours pass. The patrol gave up and left. The tower was safe. Mira breathed deeply. She looked at Roland and smiled. "We saved it," she said softly. "Yes," he said. "But this is only the beginning. The food replicator is a spark in the dark. We must protect it and use it wisely. One day, it will grow into a fire that can change everything." Mira nodded. She thought of her children, of the children in the streets, and of the future waiting to be built. She was ready to fight for it. The days grew tense in Zone 12. The alien patrols came often, their heavy boots echoing through the streets. The people lived in fear, but Mira felt something new growing inside her. Courage. The small fire of hope from the food replicator in Roland's tower was not just for her children anymore. It was for everyone. One morning, Mira arrived at the tower before dawn. The sky was pale and cold. Roland was already working, his face serious. Machines hummed softly around him. He looked up when she entered. "We have little time," he said. "The patrols are increasing. They will come soon for the tower." Mira nodded. "We cannot hide forever." "No," Roland agreed. "It is time to stand, to fight back, to show them we are not weak." Mira felt her heart beat faster. She was afraid, but she knew this was right. Together, they prepared the tower for defense. Roland showed Mira how to use small weapons hidden in the walls, tools from old Earth technology, made for protection, not harm. They set up alarms and traps along the entrances. The machines glowed with power, ready to block signals and confuse. The patrols. Roland taught Mira how to work the energy shields that could hold strong against attacks. Her hands moved quickly as she learned, her mind sharp. That night, Mira returned to her children. Tima and Leo were sleeping, safe for now. She kissed their foreheads and promised to come back soon. The patrol arrived after midnight. Loud and angry, the guards broke through the first gates. Their voices shouted commands. The blue glow of their weapons lit the dark streets. Inside the tower, Mira and Roland were ready. Alarms warned them of every step the patrol took. The energy. Shields hummed and flickered, blocking the guards' weapons. Hidden traps slowed their progress. Mira stood beside Roland, watching the hallways. She held a small device that sent out a quiet signal, confusing the patrol's communications. Hours passed like this, tense and silent except for the noise of the patrol outside. Suddenly, the tower shook as the patrol used a heavy machine to try to break through the main door. Mira's heart pounded. "We cannot hold much longer," Roland said. "We must act now." Mira nodded. She remembered the stories she told her children, stories of bravery and hope. She felt the strength of those tales inside her. Roland led her to a secret room beneath the tower. Inside were more machines, weapons, and tools, old but powerful. "We will make a stand here," he said. "This is our last line." The patrol finally broke the outer door and rushed inside. But the secret room was protected by a strong energy shield. The guards could not enter. Roland and Mira used their weapons carefully, not to hurt, but to stop. They worked together, moving silently and quickly. The patrol grew confused. Their signals were jammed. Their weapons slowed. After a long battle, the patrol gave up. They left the tower and returned to their ships. Mira breathed deeply. She looked at Roland and smiled. "We did it," she said softly. "Yes," he replied. "But this is only the start." The next days were filled with work. Mira and Roland repaired the tower. They gathered more people who wanted to help quietly. Slowly, the small group grew stronger. The tower became a place of hope, a symbol that humans could fight back. Mira returned to her children every night. She told them the truth in simple words, that their world was hard, but they had each other, that together they could be strong. One evening, as Mira stood on the tower's roof, she looked out at the city. The lights were few, but the stars were bright above. She felt hope growing inside her, stronger than fear. The fight was not over. The patrols would return. The danger was real. But Mira knew she was not alone. She was part of something bigger now, a future where humans would rise again. The sun rose slowly over Zone 12. The sky was clear with soft colors of pink and orange. Mira stood on the tower's roof, watching the light spread across the city. The streets were quiet now. The patrols had not returned yet. For the first time in a long while, the air felt calm. Mira thought of how much had changed. From the night she first knocked on Roland's gate, to the battles inside the tower, to the small group of people now working together to rebuild their world. Her heart was full of hope. Inside the tower, Roland and the others worked on repairing machines. The food replicator hummed softly, producing fresh meals for the families hiding nearby. The secret rooms were now a shelter for those who had lost their homes. The small community grew stronger each day. Mira entered the main room where her children played quietly with other children. Their laughter was soft, but real. Tima smiled when she saw her mother and ran into her arms. Leo held her hand tightly. "Mother," Tima said, "will things be better now?" Mira hugged her close. "Yes, my child. We are making a new beginning." Roland approached with a kind smile. He was no longer the quiet, distant man Mira first met. Now he spoke with warmth and purpose. "We have rebuilt the defenses," he said. "The patrols will think twice before coming back. We have technology and courage now," Mira nodded. "But we cannot stay hidden forever," she said. "We must find others, spread hope beyond this zone." Roland agreed. "We will send messengers. We will rebuild alliances. The humans are not lost." Mira looked around at the people in the room, faces tired but hopeful, families ready to fight for their future. She thought about her children, the nights of hunger and fear, the days of work and waiting. Now their smiles were proof that the hard times were changing. Outside, the city showed signs of life. Small gardens grew in hidden places. People cleaned streets. Children played under the watchful eyes of their parents. The alien rulers still controlled the land, but the power of fear was breaking. Mira stood again on the tower roof as the sun climbed higher. She raised her hand, feeling the warmth on her skin. She whispered a promise to herself and to the future. We will rise. We will rebuild. We will be free. The tower's machines hummed softly, a song of new hope. Mira's heart beat steady, strong. The story of survival, sacrifice, and courage was not over. It was only beginning.